which pointed out the sort of the key threats, which arises today. But some scholars, for example, claim that it didn't have the sort of the when, where, what to do in terms of like the prevention, like specific sort of criteria. How do you perceive this?
Well, the title European Security Strategy was not given it by my boss. When he put the document on the table, it just had a title which said now I've forgotten what the title was. A Stronger Europe in a Better World, or something like that.
Okay, something different.
But we didn't give it the title European Security Strategy because we didn't wish it to be compared with the United States National Security Strategy, and also because we didn't really think that this was a strategy, because this is a document which sets out the goals that we want, the kind of world that we want to live in. It doesn't tell us what we need to do to get there, which I think we need to think a bit more about.
Do you think the differences among the opinions among the member states? Do you think this is sort of becoming a barrier towards common?
No. I think if you look at the development over the period that I've been here, 5 years, I think that the differences between the member states are less than they were before. I could produce documents here. It's an amazing process. Some would say rather stupid process, but I can produce documents of 100 pages, which have been agreed by 27 sovereign states, going into quite practical details about how we are going to manage operations. Now you can say, well, it's absurd to manage operations in this way, but these are sovereign states. The remarkable thing is how much everybody agrees on, and the fact that we are actually able to operate together. This is against every logic of history. It's against everything you read in any textbook of international relations. It's the new world.
Okay. And concerning on your argument on the postmodern states, like EU, yes. Japan, US, when they confront sort of the danger to the danger, such as like the terrorism, how should they deal with it at the country level?
Well, terrorism is a particular kind of threat, and there are usually you deal with that in more than one way. Terrorism is sometimes a question of being extremely tough and ruthless. Sometimes it's a question of being ready to use force. Sometimes it's a question of trying to persuade people that terrorism is pointless, that there are more intelligent political ways of achieving their goals. You have to be ready to use a whole range of instruments. But in the end, if you wish to solve problems, the solutions are always political. Sometimes, to get to the point at which you can solve the problem, you need to use other means, military or economic. But the solutions in the end are always political.
Right. Okay. And concerning on the European security strategy, do you think there's going to be other like new initiatives which complement the current?
Well,
strategy?
the French, who hold the presidency in the next 6 months, have announced that they want to review the European security strategy, and there is a mandate from the last European summit to do this, which suggests that we should focus particularly on implementation, which for me is a very welcome idea. It's no good having grand ideas unless you have got the means to carry them out.
Okay. And what is your ideal type of the European foreign security policy? How would you describe it? Do you think that the High Representative, like Mr. Solana, should have much stronger power, or?
No, I think that I don't think that he needs power. I think actually that what is proposed in the Lisbon Treaty will work very well. I think that he needs to. What you need today in foreign policy is you need to able to bring together all of the means available. We talked about terrorism, which is complicated. You need to be able to use political, economic, and military means. That's true in most foreign policy as well. And there needs to be one person who doesn't actually have power, because the power in Europe is still going to reside with national governments in national capitals. They own the armies, they make the laws, they have the taxation. But there needs to be a central point where everything can be focused. And that's what I hope we will have in if the treaty is ratified.
Okay. And in this context, how the NATO plays the role? Because I think some aspects.
Yeah. Well, NATO is very important to Europe, and always has been. The European Union wouldn't exist if it hadn't been for NATO. The condition of creating the European Union was that the security problem between France and Germany was solved, and that was solved by the American presence and by NATO. And I think all European countries have a great attachment to the relationship with the USA, and NATO is an important aspect of that. So there's nobody here that wishes to abolish, compete with, interfere with NATO. It's a part of the European architecture, and just as the European Union is. But it's a part which is, in some ways, limited. It has a particular focus on the military. The European Union is a political organization which has some access to military means as well.
Okay, so this would be the last question. Where is Europe going? How would you describe it? Do you think the Europe will be almost similar to the US, or do you think it's a totally different actor in the international relations?
It's not going to be like the US. There's never going to be anybody who is going to have the same degree of power as the US president. And that's okay. I think one USA is probably enough. I think that what we've done so far, first of all, that we have stopped killing each other. Secondly, that we have begun to work together more closely, more constructively in foreign affairs. And thirdly, that we've extended the boundaries of Europe to include now Central Europe, and it will go beyond that into the Balkans and maybe a bit further. That seems to me to be a fantastic achievement. So no ambition to be like the USA, but somewhere between where we are now and where the US is, I think a Europe which is a bit more united, a bit stronger, will have more influence including on the USA. And that will be good for, you might say, good for the equilibrium of the world. It will, in a way, it's a kind of world which ought to be better for Japan, countries like China, a more plural world in which the large countries and continents work together.
Okay, so that was it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you.